Hello. It's a new year and my voice sounds like shit, but I still want to make videos. Woe is me. So today's video is on the Tales series. I wrote a script for this like over a year ago, and like I wrote a lot, a couple of thousand words I think, and it included like not 10 games but nearing that. And I got overwhelmed. I recorded it like twice and I got so severely overwhelmed that I just didn't. So here I am, and I decided to condense it and turn it into like little notes instead of heavily scripting it. So we'll see how this goes, I guess. Other people of my general age cite Final Fantasy VII or 7 through 10 as their first like big JRPG, but for me it was Tales of Symphonia, because my sister got a DVD or something full of game adverts with a magazine, and we just really wanted to play Tales of Symphonia, but we didn't have a GameCube yet. We only had a PS2, and we didn't know of the existence of Tales of Symphonia PS2. Plus, we're like born and bred English, never been to Japan. So we got, I think we got a GameCube in Tales of Symphonia for Christmas, and ever since then I have been a problem. Now I know far too much, so I am going to tell you. So in the past, Namco actually used two separate development teams, and you could tell which team made what game by a few points, such as like the character designer and the gameplay. Team Symphonia used Kosuke Fujishima for character designs, known for Ah My Goddess, and used the TP system, which is like MP in other games. It's a numerical value that depletes, and you can regain TP by attacking or through the use of items. Team Destiny used Mutsumi Inomata, who sadly passed in 2024, who had a very large and varied back catalogue of games and anime and just general art and character design work. And the gameplay used the capacity core system, which is an action cost and combo limiter which depletes by 1 per attack, skill, or magic, and can be regained simply by waiting. There were other teams outside of the main two, such as Wolf Team, who developed the very first game, Tales of Phantasia, Team Melphus, who developed Tales of Legendia, and Alpha System, a developer independent of Namco Tales Studio, not like an actual independent game studio, because, well, and they only developed Tales of the Tempest, which was the only Tales game to be relegated from a mothership title to an escort title. More on that later. As far as the gameplay goes, it was harder to regain TP in Team Symphonia style games, but combos could be a bit limited in Team Destiny style games. Personally, I prefer Team Symphonia style games because of, like, well, nostalgia goggles. And I just didn't like waiting for the gauge to refill and Graces, and, well, Zestiria and Berseria, I guess, as well. I absolutely hate that they changed the combat style for the main games to Graces, but that's an issue for later. So I mentioned escort and mothership titles. Mothership titles are like the mainline series, which don't tend to vary a lot in gameplay style, and they're generally like standalone games called Tales of, except for the sequels and prequels. But the escort titles are like side games such as puzzle games, mobile gacha games, even an MMO, and the Warriors style game as well. The main battle system for the Tales series is the linear motion battle system, aka LMBS, named so because your character goes in a straight line, whereas I go in a gay line. So it's an action RPG style of fighting, characterized by chaining physical attacks into skills, which were later for some reason called arts in the English language release after Tales of the Abyss. I don't get it, but whatever. And every game after Fantasia, which was the very first one, added quality of life changes and its own little twist to the system. Tales of Symphonia 2's flex range element enhanced linear motion battle system, which was the wordiest one I could find within the Mothership titles. My personal favorite of these was Tales of Exilius and its sequels, because in spite of the linking mechanic, which didn't really add all that, well, it did add something, and Tales of Zestiria ruined it. The linking mechanic was good in some ways, but it didn't mess up the balance a little bit. It added personal skills and conditionals to auto item use. Like your party members could use items independent of you, and you could set like conditionals like use an apple gel if your party members below 30% health, etc, etc. Recurring story elements. So generally the party comes in a set format. The protagonist, the heroine, who is most often the main healer but doesn't have to be, the smart girl, the small child, who isn't necessarily gendered, the flirty man, and the big boobs. I guess we know which one I'd be. And no more than two of them are the traitor, who gets forgiven at some point, I suppose. The personalities vary, but this is the general structure. And this does seem to be falling out of favor with well, not favor. This does seem to be falling out of use with the later games. Mind you, maybe I was just not paying enough attention with Tales of Arise, the heterosexual game for the straights. The party members tend to be like anime tropes that get discussed, analyzed, and or subverted. Hence why I tend to be a bit more forgiving of the flirty man than with other games. Like I genuinely liked Raven and Zelos from Vesperia and Symphonia. There's more depth and more sympathetic qualities, you know? And also, on more than one occasion, there is an environmental message, which is always nice, isn't it? Anyway, on to the first game I'm going to be discussing, Tales of Symphonia, which was initially for the GameCube and released in 2003. Our protagonist is Lloyd Irving, a spiky-haired himbo in red with two swords. His childhood friend Colette is known as the Chosen One, who is destined to go on a pilgrimage to become an angel. And there's lots and lots of Catholic imagery? There's literally a pope. I mean, the pope turns out to be evil, but there's literally a pope. So the beginning of the game covers their pilgrimage from temple to temple alongside Lloyd, Colette, their other childhood friend Genus, Genus's sister, and the local schoolteacher Rain, Kratos the mercenary, who is voiced by adult Simba's singing voice, and I will not let that go, and eventually a boob ninja called Sheena. Colette is a very important and interesting character. Well, she's the impetus of the journey. She was brought up to be very giving, loving, and self-sacrificial, so her self-esteem is in the drain. She tries to leave the village for her pilgrimage without Lloyd and Genus, because the truth is that her becoming an angel ultimately means that she, as an individual, will cease to exist. With every temple visit, she is stripped of her sense of taste, the ability to feel temperature. As hilarious as the coffee scene is out of context, her voice, and finally her personality when they reach the Tower of Salvation at the center of the world. Speaking of which, when you enter the Tower of Salvation for the first time, it's filled with the coffins of the chosen that preceded Colette. They also learn that the actual goal of the journey is to make another planet, that the current planet is kind of in an endless push and pull mana-giving system with, goes into decline. Also, that planet is where the aforementioned boob ninja, Sheena, is from, so they travel there in search of answers and a cure for Colette's sudden lack of personality. Listen, if you say Colette didn't have a personality in the first place, fuck you. I just remember a lot of people being really shitty about Colette when I was a kid. Like, she embodies a lot of traditionally feminine traits, and the game also kind of discusses how shitty those traditionally feminine traits can be for a person without, like, outright vilifying her as a person. As a character, I mean. Plus, I think in some part as well, I also kind of shared those traits in some way or another. Whatever. Rant over. The otherworld Tetheala, with a superfluous apostrophe, is where you get to meet Zelos, who is the other chosen one, who you can never quite trust. And Presea, the 28-year-old who looks like a 12-year-old, and is voiced by Tara Strong. And Regal, who has a whole deal that I won't go into because it's a little weird. Plus, he's not super relevant to the plot, actually. I think he was just there to fill out numbers. Eventually, you meet the big bad Yggdrasil, who briefly pretends to be an ally by using his younger appearance and the name he used to go by, Mythos. I remember when I was like a little kid, I thought I saw Mythos like in a screenshot before like seeing him in the game, and I thought he was Colette's mother. But no, Mythos is a dude who identifies as a dude. Anyway, Yggdrasil's aim in making the chosen system and making the planets vie for mana in order to, well, continue existing, is to find a body that's compatible with his dead sister's soul. Also, he built a whole religion, the whole religion around his dead sister. Like, he named the goddess after his sister. I'd be weirded out if anyone did that to me, much less my own sister. I'm a little sister. People think I'm an older sister, but no, I'm a younger sister. Anyway, to that end, he spent 3,000 years since the end of a big war, alongside his allies, one of whom turns out to be Kratos, the guy voiced by adult Simba's singing voice, and a blue-haired double agent called Ewan. who was actually Mythos' sister's fiance. Yggdrasil wants to revive his sister and turn everyone in the world into zombies. Like, he calls his end goal the age of lifeless beings. It's zombies. His logic is that if everyone is zombies, no one can be racist or classist anymore. Because, like, he and his sister were half-elves. So they experienced a lot of racism from, like, both sides of their heritage. And it's explored a little bit with the party as well, because Genus and Rain are also half-elves. So we kick Mythos' entire ass and the two worlds become one. Because they were originally one. And yet the planet isn't like two domes that you just sort of squish together. I don't know how that works. Let's call it magic. In the sequel, this turns out to have, like, consequences. But we won't go into that yet. It's not time. So there's an affection system in this game. It affects certain cutscenes, but not the ultimate outcome. You get 2 cutscenes with whoever you choose, and with the girls it's implied to be romantic. Colette and Sheena are the only 2 age-appropriate choices for Lloyd. I mean, Rain is like 6 years older than him, and he's 17, so that's still a bit weird. And Rain was his teacher, so she had, like, a position of authority over him. Also, Presea is a 28-year-old who looks 12. One thing about Presea, I'm so glad they use it for kind of the horror factor, rather than weird, creepy reasons. I mean, other people have used it for weird, creepy reasons, but within the diegesis, it's used for non-gross reasons. Tangent over. Your affection with Zelos and a certain choice determines if he lives or dies. In the snowy town of Flanor, you can choose between I trust you and can I trust you in a certain cutscene, and then when you have to choose between everyone you have affection with, you have to deny all of them, and then if you do this, if you fulfill these criteria, he doesn't backseize on his betrayal later, and you fight him in a boss fight and kill him for real. However, if you do this, you get Kratos back permanently. I find this a genuinely interesting choice, but it isn't mentioned much in the aftermath. And I think you can miss out on some content if you don't have some optional content, if you don't have Zelos. But it's not mentioned much in the story. Also, I think the choice could have been, like, worded a bit better, maybe. Like, I get the wording. Like, the choice between I trust you and can I trust you. Like saying outright, I trust you, implies that the trust is already there. But can I trust you implies a lack of trust. And then can therefore, presumably, I'm assuming, make Zelos think, oh, he doesn't like me. Maybe it could have been a bit more of a slow burn. Like, multiple choices leading to Schrodinger's double cross. Or would it have been a triple cross? Because, like, he double crossed us and then he double crossed the bad guys. But saying it like that makes it sound like a quadruple cross. Answer my weird-ass question in the comments below! Also, some of the imagery in Tales of Symphonia is kind of horrifying. Like, there's some formerly human monsters, one of whom was voiced by Cosmo from Fairly Odd Parents. And there's a lot of death. I don't know, I find Colette losing her entire identity kind of horrifying as well. Lastly, the gameplay. The multi-line linear motion battle system is the series' first foray into a completely 3D battle system, and I still like it, but it's definitely showing its age nowadays. This game's twist on the LMBS is that each enemy has 365 lines that the player and the party can walk along. But this was the first, like, fully 3D game, so I think we can forgive them for that. Also, some of the puzzles are a fucking nuisance. Like the one outside the elves' village. Where you have to, like, bring a fruit down a river. You have to knock it off a tree and then remove the obstacles from the fruit flowing down the river. And it's a whole ass nuisance. When, like, Colette can fly. Colette has wings and can fly. Why couldn't she have just flown up and, like, grab... Here you go. I love forgetting that my party members have powers. Oh yeah, Lloyd's voiced by Silas in Love and Deep Space. That's very funny to remember. Because Lloyd's like the least sexual character, and then Silas. Yeah, I just got Night of Secrecy in Love and Deep Space. Anyway, on to the sequel, Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World. Originally released on the Wii in 2008. Or 2009 if you're a European like me. My take is that I felt like it was a different game story that was tacked onto Tales of Symphonia's world. Emil, our protagonist, used to live in Palma Costa, a major seaside town that got destroyed during the course of the original game. Before the current game, a fake Lloyd, massacred a major portion of the citizenry of Palma Costa. And it's played like we're supposed to believe that it's Lloyd for the first part of the game until it's revealed that it definitely wasn't him. So Emil had to move to Lewin, a town that was also destroyed early into the first game, but can be restored by shoving money at them in the first game. And Emil gets pretty badly bullied for not liking Lloyd. I could get it, but also, like, it's played like we're supposed to be on Emil's side, I think. In my opinion. YouTube comments. And also Emil gets abused by his aunt and uncle, but that's kind of a separate thing. Nobody in this town likes him, for varying reasons. One day, a man called Richter Abend, which literally translates to Judge Evening in German, rolls into town, and he tells Emil to stand up for himself and says the words, "Courage is the magic that turns dreams into reality."
Courage is the magic that turns dreams into reality.
Courage, the magic that turns dreams into reality.
Courage is the magic that turns dreams into reality. And then, in the same day, Emil meets Marta.
Come on, you're a man, speak up!
And becomes her knight after beating a dungeon, and thus begins the weird relationship between the two. Also, Emil gains an angry alternate personality that gives him red eyes. Like me. I have red eyes. It's hard for some people to tell because of my mama's art style, but whatever, I'm pretty. Emil and Marta are the main character interactions you see throughout the game, and it annoyed the shit out of me because I don't really like either of them. I might have liked them a bit better if I hadn't played the first game, but I liked the ambiguous romances of the first game a lot better. It felt like a case of they're in love because we said they are. And also, they really like to say the words, "Courage is the magic that turns dreams into reality." Hey, guys, did you know? Courage is the magic that turns dreams into reality. Need I tell you once more? Courage is the magic that turns dreams into reality. Anyway, I do have compliments. The ending of the last game wasn't just a nice little stopgap to all the problems that the world was having, and also it caused some new problems. Like, it caused some environmental and socio-political consequences. Like, the desert becomes a big snow. And I think some of the other environments get fucked up as well, but that's the main one I remember. And the people of the technologically advanced Tetheala look down on the people of Silverant, the first planet from the first game, which I didn't mention before for some reason. And the people of Tetheala see the people of Silverant as barbaric. So in turn, Silverant formed a militia called the Vanguard to better fight back. And Marta is actually the daughter of the leader of the Vanguard, but also they're hunting her down. And are also kind of shitty. Wanting to protect yourself is a bad thing, but like, on a separate note, they are shitty. I can appreciate that squashing the worlds together like magic blobs of clay didn't solve everything ever, forever. I need to stop bouncing like that, it looks lewd. Actually, I won't stop bouncing like that. You can't control me. You're not my dad. Who am I talking to? Whoever I'm talking to, you're not my dad. My dad is my dad. Onto the gameplay of Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World. I actually really like the improved fighting system. I thought the monster catching system was innovative. And with this you could pretty much customize your party as you please, which can be pretty important, as for some reason the previous game's party members that you can get through the course of the story, for some reason they are at fixed levels when you get them. I don't understand that bit, but whatever. Anyway, courage is the magic that turns dreams into reality. And my last game for this video is Tales of the Abyss, originally for the PS2, released in 2005. I waited 15 fucking years for this goddamn game. So the world of Aldrint is governed by the Score, an ancient religious text made by a guy called Lorelei. I think. That sounds right. I'll look it up later. People use the Score to determine every action they take in life. Like, some people use it for every single little minor decision, such as what they eat for dinner. Like, this thing does literally say in parts, on this day this person will do this. I think I remember that. Our main character is Luke von Fabra. He's a spoiled 17-year-old kid who got kidnapped 10 years ago in the story, so his parents don't let him leave the manor. One day, his sword instructor Van comes, and, well, that guy's there teaching Luke some sword techniques and giving us a little tutorial. We get an intruder in the manor, and she puts everyone to sleep with the power of song. When she and Luke touch, they get zooped to a whole new continent in a flash of light. They kind of resolve to work together to get Luke back to his house. And when they enter a town, Luke's so sheltered that he doesn't know how shops work. He's like, oh, you can just charge that to the manor. But, like, shit don't work like that. And plus, they were in enemy territory. So, like, that's bad. And no one actually respects Luke outside of the fantasy Pope Ion. The green-haired child, voiced by Pikachu. Well, Guy, his servant, probably respects him a bit, but, like, he's paid to. Over the course of the story, Luke is forced to kill an enemy soldier. People berate him for reacting like a person when he's forced to literally take a life. Like, if someone like you or me were forced to kill someone, even in self-defense, if an ordinary person was forced to kill in self-defense, that would not be a pleasant experience for, like, anyone. And Luke isn't a soldier, so having to be blasé about taking life isn't something he can do. And he never gets over this aversion to killing, which is actually quite interesting for a video game protagonist. Like, a lot of games have you, like, mowing people down in showers of blood. Literally in Dragon Guard 3. Literally in Dragon Guard 3, from what I remember. Like, it's a mechanic to be covered in blood. But within the story, at least, Luke hates killing. It's kind of the same thing with Yakuza 0. Like, Kiryu owning a gun in the story is seen as a big deal, which I suppose it would have realistically been a big deal for a Yakuza underling in the 80s to own a gun, but, like, I digress. It turns out that Luke has the power of hyperresonance, which is a reality-shaping power, and what accidentally caused him and Tyr to get zooped. And his swordmaster Van manipulates him into sending an entire town into the Sea of Miasma that exists under the outer crust of the planet. And with this, we get possibly the most upsetting imagery in a Tales game, with a child pinned under his dead father as they descend into the miasma, and, like, no one can do anything about it. The party goes to the city that floats atop the miasma, Yulia City, and they see Luke's doppelganger, which is diegetically called a replica, Ash, who reveals he's the real Luke von Fabra, and Luke is a clone that was sent back to the manor after Ash was kidnapped as a child. It's even mentioned in the story that Luke forgot how to walk, talk, and even eat. So now we know why. He's a replica of the real deal. And he was... The Luke that got sent back was basically a baby. A baby that looked like a 7-year-old. But also the thing is, Luke gets treated like his physical age of 17, even when everyone knows that he's a 7-year-old replica. Wait, is he 7? I don't think my maths is mathing. So yeah, Luke gets treated like his physical age, even when everyone knows that he's a small boy. Well, not physically small. Small in age, if not in size. And he acts like a spoiled child, especially in the beginning. I mean, like, he does mature a bit over the course of the story, especially after he has his plot-relevant haircut. But for all intents and purposes, he's still very young. And he and Tyr actually develop reciprocal romantic feelings for each other, which is super weird if you think about it too much. I mean, in the end, nothing comes of it, because, like, at the very end, there's a guy who could be either Luke or Ash at the very end. And it's ambiguous which one he is, but, like, shit's fucking weird. Anyway, this is my new... This is something I'm trying. I'm trying writing notes instead of completely scripting out my videos, so let me know if you like this style. I feel like I went on tangents a bit more. I do have plans as to which Tales games I will be yapping about next. So, feedback is appreciated.